Maryland is a state in the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States. It borders Virginia to its south, West Virginia to its west, Pennsylvania to its north, Delaware and the Atlantic Ocean to its east, and the national capital of Washington, D.C. to the southwest. With a total area of 12,407 square miles, 32,130 square kilometers, Maryland is the ninth smallest state by land area, and its population of 6,177,224 ranks it the 18th most populous state and the 5th most densely populated. Maryland's capital is Annapolis, and the most populous city is Baltimore. Maryland's coastline was first explored by Europeans in the 16th century. Prior to that, it was inhabited by several Native American tribes, mostly the Algonquian peoples. As one of the original 13 colonies, Maryland was founded by George Calvert, once Baron Baltimore, a Catholic convert who sought to provide a religious haven for Catholics persecuted in England. In 1632, Charles I of England granted Lord Baltimore a colonial charter, naming the colony after his wife, Henrietta Maria. In 1649, the Maryland General Assembly passed an act concerning religion, which enshrined the principle of toleration. Religious strife was common in Maryland's early years, and Catholics remained a minority, albeit in greater numbers than in any other English colony. Maryland's early settlements and population centers clustered around waterways that empty into the Chesapeake Bay. Its economy was heavily plantation-based and centered mostly on the cultivation of tobacco. Demand for cheap labor from Maryland colonists led to the importation of numerous indentured servants and enslaved Africans. In 1760, Maryland's current boundaries took form following the settlement of a long-running border dispute with Pennsylvania. Many of its citizens played key political and military roles in the American Revolutionary War. Although it was a slave state, Maryland remained in the Union during the American Civil War, and its proximity to Washington, D.C. and Virginia made it a significant strategic location. After the Civil War ended, Maryland took part in the Industrial Revolution, driven by its seaports, railroad networks, and mass immigration from Europe. Since the 1940s, the state's population has grown rapidly to approximately 6 million residents, and it is among the most densely populated U.S. states. As of 2015, Maryland had the highest median household income of any state, owing in large part to its proximity to Washington, D.C. and a highly diversified economy spanning manufacturing and retail services and public administration and real estate and higher education and information technology and defense contracting and healthcare and biotechnology. Maryland is one of the most multicultural states in the country. It is one of the 6 states where non-whites compose a majority of the population, with the 5th highest percentage of African Americans, and high numbers of residents born in Africa and Asia and Central America and the Caribbean. The state's central role in U.S. history is reflected by its hosting of some of the highest numbers of historic landmarks per capita. The western portion of the state contains stretches of the Appalachian Mountains. The central portion is primarily composed of the Piedmont, and the eastern side of the state makes up a significant portion of Chesapeake Bay. 16 of Maryland's 23 counties and the city of Baltimore border the tidal waters of the Chesapeake Bay estuary and its many tributaries, which combine total more than 4,000 miles of shoreline. Although one of the smallest states in the U.S., it features a variety of climates and topographical features that have earned it the moniker of America in miniature. In a similar vein, Maryland's geography, culture, and history combine elements of the mid-Atlantic, northeastern, and southern regions of the country. The Baltimore Oriole is a small iterid blackbird common in eastern North America as a migratory breeding bird. It received its name from the resemblance of the male's colors to those on the coat of arms of 17th-century Lord Baltimore. Black-eyed Susan Rebecca Herta is a flowering plant native to eastern and central North America. It's a member of the daisy family Asteraceae and is a common wildflower found in open woods, meadows, fields, and roadsides. Black-eyed Susan is a hardy and adaptable plant that is easy to grow. It's salt and drought tolerant, making it an excellent choice for coastal landscapes. The white oak Quercus alba is a long-lived, deciduous tree native to eastern and central North America. It is the national tree of the United States and is a member of the beech and oak family. White oak is a keystone species that supports more wildlife than any other plant in the forest. It provides food and shelter for a variety of animals, and its leaves help to decompose and enrich the soil. White oak is also a commercially important timber oak. There are 23 counties and 1 independent city in the U.S. state of Maryland. Though formally an independent city rather than a county, the city of Baltimore is considered the equal of a county for most purposes and is functionally a county equivalent in most respects. Many of the counties in Maryland were named for relatives of the Barons Baltimore, who were the proprietors of the Maryland colony from its founding in 1634 through 1771. The Barons Baltimore were Catholic, and George Calvert, once Baron Baltimore, originally intended that the colony be a haven for English Catholics, though for most of its history Maryland has had a majority of Protestants.
Top 10 largest cities in Maryland.
Number 10. Rockville, Maryland. Rockville is a city in and the county seat of Montgomery County, Maryland, United States, and is part of the Washington metropolitan area. The 2020 census tabulated Rockville's population at 67,117, making it the fourth largest incorporated city in Maryland. Rockville, along with neighboring Gaithersburg and Bethesda, is at the core of the Interstate 270 technology corridor, which is home to numerous software and biotechnology companies as well as several federal government institutions. The city, one of the major retail hubs in Montgomery County, has several upscale regional shopping centers. Number 9. Gaithersburg, Maryland. Gaithersburg is a city in Montgomery County, Maryland, United States. At the time of the 2020 census, Gaithersburg had a population of 69,657, making it the 9th most populous community in the state. Gaithersburg is located to the northwest of Washington, D.C., and is considered a suburb and a primary city within the Washington metropolitan area. Gaithersburg was incorporated as a town in 1878 and as a city in 1968. Gaithersburg is located east and west of Interstate 270. The eastern section includes the historic area of the town. Landmarks and buildings from that time can still be seen in many places, but especially in the historic central business district of Gaithersburg called Old Town. The east side also includes City Hall, the Montgomery County Fairgrounds, and Bora Park, a well-known joint community recreation center and outdoor water park for kids and families. The west side of the city has many wealthier neighborhoods that were designed with smart growth techniques and embrace new urbanism. These include the Kentlands community, the Lakelands community, and the Washingtonian Center, better known as Rio, a shopping and business district. Two new urbanism communities are under construction, including Watkins Mill Town Center, Casey East and West, and the massive Science City. The state has a bus rapid transit line, Cordo City's Transit Way or CCT, plan for the western portion of the city, starting at Shady Grove Metro Station and connecting all the high-density western Gaithersburg neighborhoods with a total of 8 stops planned in the city. The National Institute of Standards and Technology (NIST) is headquartered in Gaithersburg, directly west of Interstate 270. Other major employers in the city include IBM, Lockheed Martin Information Systems and Global Services Business Area Headquarters, AstraZeneca. Gaithersburg is also the location of the garrison of the United States Army Reserve Legal Command. Gaithersburg is noted for its ethnic and economic diversity. It was ranked second for ethnic diversity among the 501 largest U.S. cities, and first among smaller U.S. cities, by WalletHub in 2021 and 2023. WalletHub announced that Gaithersburg was back in the #1 spot for diversity in the U.S. Number 8. Glen Burnie, Maryland. Glen Burnie is an unincorporated town and census-designated place (CDP) in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, United States. It is a suburb of Baltimore. The population was 72,891 at the 2020 census. Number 7. Ellicott City, Maryland. Ellicott City is an unincorporated community and census-designated place in and the county seat of Howard County, Maryland, United States. Part of the Baltimore metropolitan area, its population was 75,947 at the 2020 census, making it the most populous unincorporated county seat in the country. Ellicott City's historic downtown. The Ellicott City Historic District lies in the valleys of the Tiber and Patapsco rivers. The historic district includes the Ellicott City Station, which is the oldest surviving train station in the United States, having been built in 1830 as the first terminus of the original B&O Railroad line. The historic district is often called Historic Ellicott City or Old Ellicott City to distinguish it from the surrounding suburbs that extend south to Columbia and west to West Friendship. Number 6. Waldorf, Maryland. Waldorf is a census-designated place in Charles County, Maryland, United States. Located 23 miles 37 kilometers south and southeast of Washington, D.C., Waldorf is part of southern Maryland. Its population was 81,410 at the 2020 census. Waldorf has experienced dramatic growth, increasing its population 16-fold from fewer than 5,000 residents in 1980 to its current population. It is now the largest commercial and residential area in southern Maryland as well as a major suburb in the Washington metropolitan area. Number 5. Silver Spring, Maryland. Silver Spring is a census-designated place CDP in southeastern Montgomery County, Maryland, United States, near Washington, D.C. Although officially unincorporated, it is an edge city with a population of 81,015 at the 2020 census, making it the 5th most populous place in Maryland after Baltimore and Columbia and Germantown and Waldorf. Downtown Silver Spring, located next to the northern tip of Washington, D.C. is the oldest and most urbanized area of Silver Spring, surrounded by several inner suburban residential neighborhoods inside the Capitol Beltway. Many mixed-use developments combining retail, residential, and office space have been built since 2004. Silver Spring takes its name from a mica flex spring discovered there in 1840 by Francis Preston Blair, who subsequently bought much of the area's surrounding land. Acorn Park, south of downtown, is believed to be the site of the original spring. Number 4. Frederick, Maryland. Frederick is a city in and the county seat of Frederick County, Maryland, United States. Frederick's population was 78,171 people as of the 2020 census, making it the second largest incorporated city in Maryland behind Baltimore. It is a part of the Washington metropolitan area and the Greater Washington-Baltimore Combined Statistical Area. The city is located at an important crossroads at the intersection of a major North and South Native American trail and East and West routes to the Chesapeake Bay, both at Baltimore and what became Washington, D.C., and cross the Appalachian Mountains to the Ohio River watershed. Frederick is home to Frederick Municipal Airport IATA, FDK, which accommodates general aviation, and Fort Detrick, a U.S. Army Bioscience and Communications Research installation and Frederick County's largest employer. Number 3. Germantown, Maryland. Germantown is an urbanized census-designated place in Montgomery County, Maryland. With a population of 91,249 as of the 2020 census, it is the 3rd most populous community in Maryland, after Columbia and Baltimore. Germantown is located approximately 28 miles 45 kilometers outside the U.S. capital of Washington, D.C., and is an important part of the Washington metropolitan area. Germantown was founded in the early 19th century by European immigrants, though much of the area's development did not take place until the mid-20th century. The original plan for Germantown divided the area into a downtown and 6 town villages: Gunners Lake Village, Kingsview Village, Churchill Village, Middlebrook Village, Cloppers Mill Village, and Neilsville Village. The Churchill Town sector at the corner of Maryland Route 118 and Middlebrook Road most closely resembles the center of Germantown because of the location of the Upcounty Regional Services Center, the Germantown Public Library, the Black Rock Arts Center, and pedestrian shopping that features an array of restaurants. 3 exits to Interstates 270 I-270 are less than 1 mile away. The Maryland Area Regional Commuter Train is within walking distance, and the Germantown Transit Center that provides ride-on shuttle service to the Shady Grove station of the Washington Metro's Red Line is also available. Germantown has the assigned zip codes of 20874 and 20876 for delivery and 20875 for post office boxes. It is the only Germantown, Maryland recognized by the United States Postal Service, though 3 other Maryland counties have unincorporated communities with the same name. Number 2. Columbia, Maryland. Columbia is a census-designated place in Howard County, Maryland, United States. It is a planned community consisting of 10 self-contained villages. The census-designated place had a population of 104,681 at the 2020 census, making it the 2nd most populous community in Maryland after Baltimore. Columbia, located between Baltimore and Washington, D.C., is officially part of the Baltimore metropolitan area. Columbia proper consists only of that territory governed by the Columbia Association, but larger areas are included under its name by the U.S. Postal Service and the Census Bureau. These include several other communities which predate Columbia, including Simpsonville, Atholton, and in the case of the census, part of Clarksville. Columbia began with the idea that a city could enhance its residents' quality of life. Developer James Rouse attempted to create the new community in terms of human values, rather than economics and engineering. Opened in 1967, Columbia was intended to not only eliminate the inconveniences of then current subdivision design, but also eliminate racial and religious and class segregation. Number 1. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore is the most populous city in the U.S. state of Maryland, with a population of 585,708 at the 2020 census. It is the 30th most populous U.S. city. Baltimore was designated an independent city by the Constitution of Maryland in 1851 and is the most populous independent city in the nation. As of 2020, the population of the Baltimore metropolitan area was 2,838,327, the 20th largest metropolitan area in the country. When combined, the Washington and Baltimore Combined Statistical Area (CS) had a 2020 population of 9,973,383, the third largest in the country. Though the city is not located within or under the administrative jurisdiction of any county in the state, it is part of the Central Maryland region, together with the surrounding county that shares its name. The land that is present-day Baltimore was used as hunting ground by Paleo Indians. In the early 1600s, the Susquehannock began to hunt there. People from the province of Maryland established the port of Baltimore in 1706 to support the tobacco trade with Europe, and established the town of Baltimore in 1729. During the American Revolutionary War, the Second Continental Congress, fleeing Philadelphia prior to its fall to British troops, moved their deliberations to Henry Fight House on West Baltimore Street from December 1776 to February 1777, permitting Baltimore to serve briefly as the nation's capital, before it returned to Philadelphia in March 1777. The Battle of Baltimore was pivotal during the War of 1812, culminating in the failed British bombardment of Fort McHenry, during which Francis Scott Key wrote a poem that would become the Star-Spangled Banner, designated as the national anthem in 1931. During the Pratt Street Riot of 1861, the city was the site of some of the earliest violence associated with the American Civil War. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, the nation's oldest, was built in 1830 and cemented Baltimore's status as a transportation hub, giving producers in the Midwest and Appalachia access to the city's port. Baltimore's Inner Harbor was the second leading port of entry for immigrants to the U.S. and a major manufacturing center. After a decline in major manufacturing and heavy industry and restructuring of the rail industry, Baltimore has shifted to a service-oriented economy. Johns Hopkins Hospital and University are the top employers. Baltimore is home to the Baltimore Orioles of Major League Baseball and the Baltimore Ravens of the National Football League. Many Baltimore neighborhoods have rich histories. The city is home to some of the earliest National Register historic districts in the nation, including Fells Point, Federal Hill, and Mount Vernon. Baltimore has more public statues and monuments per capita than any other city in the country. Nearly one-third of the buildings, over 65,000, are designated as historic in the National Register, more than any other U.S. city. Baltimore has 66 National Register historic districts and 33 local historic districts. The historical records of the government of Baltimore are located at the Baltimore City Archives.